status of the air quality is very poor.
We are living in a kind of gas chamber here. It should not be like this.
Really want to take this mask off, but if I try to even do that, I know I'm going to choke, and it's not a pleasant feeling.
For young people like us, we can bear it. But I think about people who have got breathing issues like asthma. This environment is like terrible for them.
For now, people are being very normalizing it, like they are not paying attention to what we are breathing in and what it is causing to our health inside.
As winter sets in across North India, the air in India's capital becomes thick and brown with visible pollutants. If one breathes in, one literally breathes in toxic fumes. And the visibility is sometimes so low that even monuments are reduced to smoky blurs. While pollution levels remain high in New Delhi throughout the year, it turns acute during the winter months, and each winter the city enters into a season of pollution, where the very air that sustains life becomes its greatest enemy. As of 5th of November 2025, the Air Quality Index, or AQI, in India's capital has been hovering at unhealthy levels between 200 and 300. So what is polluting New Delhi's air? What are the main known causes? What health risks are associated with air pollution? Why Delhi's artificial rain test failed to tackle toxic air? How countries like China tackled air pollution? On this special episode of WION WideAngle, we dig deeper into the perennial air crisis that continues to plague New Delhi-NCR year after year. November 2025 is recorded as yet another year where New Delhi's Air Quality Index, or AQI, has reached alarming levels. On the 4th of November, the average AQI in Delhi at 10:05 a.m. was 313. It is categorized as very poor according to the Central Pollution Control Board, or CPCB. 4 monitoring stations, Alipur, Anand Vihar, Bawana and Wazirpur, recorded severe air quality with readings above 400. Delhi-NCR's air pollution crisis has become a perpetual issue every winter season. While several steps are taken to mitigate the crisis, it only scratches the surface of a much larger systemic problem. Delhi's air pollution crisis requires more than just episodic emergency measures.
October onwards, we see very rapid increase and growth in the pollution concentration in the city. And as we have seen over the last couple of weeks, it is the speed at which the pollution grows. And the reason is that during this time, the atmospheric conditions become very adverse. There have been moments when we have also hit the severe level. The worrying part is that when concentration increases to such high levels, its impact on people who already have range of diseases and respiratory conditions, it has massive impact in terms of aggravating the symptoms. And this can lead to prolonged illness, emergency hospital admissions.
So what exactly is the Air Quality Index? How do we interpret it? And where does the data come from? Let's understand. In the simplest terms, AQI is the measure of harmful pollutants in the air like carbon monoxide, sulfur oxide, ozone, nitrogen dioxide, and particulate matter. On an index of 0 to 500, the higher the number, the worse the air. An index value between 0 and 50 indicates good air quality. Between 51 and 100 indicates satisfactory air quality. And between 101 and 200 indicates moderate air quality. As the index value increases further, air quality deteriorates. A value of 201 and 300 means poor air quality, while between 301 and 400 indicates very poor air. Between 401 and 450 indicates severe air pollution, while anything above the 450 threshold is termed severe plus. The monitoring activity of air quality is conducted region-wise by the governing bodies. In India, there are 3 major governing bodies responsible for the data calculation and processing: Central Pollution Control Board (CPCB), State Pollution Control Boards (SPCBs). Operating in different states, like in Delhi, there is Delhi Pollution Control Committee (DPCC), and researchers at the Indian Institute of Tropical Meteorology. All CPCB AQI readings are displayed on its Samir app and are capped at a maximum of 500, which signifies severe pollution levels, whereas international platforms like Swiss companies IQ Air report AQI values exceeding 1,000 for the same locations, leaving the residents baffled and wondering which one is precise. So the main question that's there in everyone's mind is how accurate and reliable are these monitoring systems?
AQI, or what we call Air Quality Index, it's a method by which governments try to communicate to people by grading the air quality in terms of its severity. Now, because through the monitoring process, the actual data that we generate on the real concentration of pollution in the air, if you try and tell that to people, they will not understand that what so much microgram per cubic meter of pollution means in the air. So to make it intelligible to people, we grade the air quality with the help of an index. So that's why we call good, satisfactory, moderate, poor, very poor, and severe. As the terms imply, that as we move from poor to severe category, health impact of that concentration is huge. And we already have advisories, government official advisories, that what it can do. So the health impact, and we know that first of all, range of diseases, okay, from respiratory to the metabolic diseases are all impacted by pollution.
New Delhi gets enveloped in a thick blanket of smog every winter due to smoke, dust, low wind speed, and vehicular emissions. Much of the blame for the pollution is also directed at farmers in the neighboring states of Punjab, Haryana, and Uttar Pradesh, who burn crop stubble to clear their fields. Stubble burning is a method of removing paddy crop residues from the field to sow wheat from the last week of September to November. The quickest and most economical way to prepare fields is to burn them, a practice known as stubble burning. It is a process of setting on fire the raw stubble left after the harvesting of grains like paddy, wheat, etc. It is usually required in areas that use the combined harvesting method, which leaves crop residue behind. The wind then blows the polluting smoke from these fires from the fields of these states over into Delhi, where due to the meteorological conditions it often hangs over the city in a thick cloud. The process of burning farm residue is one of the major causes of air pollution in parts of North India, deteriorating the air quality. Farming groups say they need financial and technical help to find alternative ways of clearing crops. Stubble burning was made illegal in 2015 by the National Green Tribunal in several Indian states, including Punjab, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, Rajasthan, and the NCT of Delhi. It was banned by various environmental regulations and upheld by the Supreme Court as a violation of the right to a pollution-free environment. Despite the law, its enforcement remains a major challenge.
Now we have this advantage where Indian Institute of Tropical Meteorology, they estimate how much pollution is coming from what sources in Delhi. And from that, what we can find, and it's very clear, that if you take only the local sources of Delhi, because a lot of pollution also comes from outside Delhi. But if you consider only the local sources of pollution, then the order of priority, according to their data, are the vehicles that are really half of the total concentration that it's contributing. Vehicles, peripheral industrial areas, waste burning, construction, and then whole range of others.
Amidst concerns over the reliability of data and deteriorating air quality in the capital, the Supreme Court has been told that only 9 out of 37 monitoring stations were functioning on Diwali in New Delhi. On the 3rd of November, India's top court has asked the Commission for Air Quality Management and CPCB to submit an affidavit within a week with details of the steps taken to prevent the air quality from slipping further. The court has been monitoring the air pollution-related matters in Delhi-NCR and issuing orders from time to time. These include the orders related to the ban on polluting firecrackers and measures to stop the farm fires in states like Punjab, Haryana, and Uttar Pradesh. This brings us to look at what other steps have been taken to fight pollution in New Delhi. Air pollution in Delhi and the National Capital Region has been in the public eye since the mid-2010s. But it was only in 2015-16 that the various stakeholders, media, civil society and citizens groups started taking serious note of the massive poor air quality in the region. Apex institutions like the Central Pollution Control Board and State Pollution Control Boards came into existence. In 1996, the Supreme Court, upon the release of a report by a Delhi-based non-profit Center for Science and Environment, or CSE, on air pollution in Delhi, issued a suo motu notice to the Delhi government to submit an action plan to control air pollution in the city. In December 1996, the Delhi government submitted to the courts its first action plan to combat air pollution. Fast forward to 2025. The Delhi government's focus on air pollution mitigation began with the budget for the year 2025-26, in which 300 crore rupees, or about $34 million was allocated for pollution control measures, like installation of 6 new continuous ambient air quality monitoring systems and adding 5,000 new electric buses to the existing fleet. In addition, the government announced new measures at regular intervals, intending to reduce Delhi's pollution levels. In October 2025, as Delhi's air turned toxic, the Commission for Air Quality Management enforced Stage 1 of the Graded Response Action Plan across the Delhi-NCR region. The move to implement GRAP 1 followed Delhi, recording an AQI of 211, placing it in the poor category. The Graded Response Action Plan, or GRAP, is a set of emergency measures that come into force in Delhi-NCR when air pollution crosses certain danger levels. It is designed to curb air pollution in stages depending on how bad the AQI gets. GRAP was first approved by the Supreme Court in 2016 and is implemented by the Commission for Air Quality Management. The plan divides actions into 4 stages, each triggered when the air quality hits specific AQI ranges. GRAP acts like a pollution emergency rulebook for Delhi-NCR. Instead of waiting for pollution to spiral out of control, it ensures authorities and citizens act in advance. For instance, when Delhi's AQI crossed 350 in January 2025, CAQM invoked Stage 3 of GRAP, but once the air improved and the AQI dropped, those restrictions were lifted. In June 2025, Delhi started enforcing a fuel ban on end-of-life vehicles, or ELVS. It was the Commission for Air Quality Management's measure that meant that all end-of-life vehicles, i.e. petrol vehicles older than 15 years and diesel vehicles older than 10 years, were not allowed to get fuel in Delhi. However, within a week, the Delhi government asked the Commission to revoke the order as the public outcry against the ban intensified, and this has left the status of such vehicles controversial in New Delhi. The real challenge came during the Diwali season. There had been a ban on all kinds of firecrackers in the city for the past 5 years. And despite a ban on firecrackers, AQI levels would spike up. On the 15th of October this year, the Supreme Court relaxed the blanket ban on firecrackers in Delhi-NCR. The court allowed the use of green crackers the day before Diwali and on the day of Diwali. The bench also limited the use of firecrackers from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. and between 8 p.m. and 10 p.m. Despite the restrictions, several residents lit firecrackers outside of the permitted period. Thus, the relaxation of the firecrackers ban supported by the Delhi government in court posed a setback to those anti-pollution goals. Another miss was the much-hyped cloud seeding experiment to induce rainfall. A team of the Indian Institute of Technology, Kanpur, and the Delhi government carried out the trial over several neighborhoods in Delhi. However, despite inputs from the India Meteorological Department indicating that clouds in Delhi on the 28th of October would be insufficient to trigger artificial rain, researchers from IIT Kanpur proceeded with their plan, and it failed in both trials. However, it wasn't the first time Delhi experimented with cloud seeding. Delhi's first cloud seeding experiment was carried out in 1957, followed by another attempt in 1972, according to the Indian Institute of Tropical Meteorology. While those experiments were aimed at drought management, this year cloud seeding was aimed at controlling pollution. The Delhi cabinet approved the cloud seeding project on May 7, allocating 3.21 crore rupees or $362,000 for 5 trials. Roughly 64 lakh Indian rupees or $72,000 per attempt. Cloud seeding is done by firing small particles into clouds to produce rain.
But trying to create artificial rain, hoping that that rain is going to wash away the particles in the air. You will see some reduction in the overall pollution. But immediately after that, and especially in winter conditions, pollution is going to bounce back very quickly. You know, when you have more moisture and fog in the air, that's when pollution levels really increase. And the reason why the doctors actually advise people not to go for their morning walks, right? So cloud seeding, artificial rains, these are not the solution.
The technique is used around the world, but such exercises have yielded mixed results. China has bragged about its success in managing rains before hosting the Olympics, with Beijing using rockets, cannons and drones for cloud seeding. The United States also uses substances like silver iodide in thick clouds to trigger rain. Saudi Arabia launched its regional cloud seeding program in 2022 to increase rainfall and combat desertification. Delhi-NCR's worsening AQI has become a cause of serious concern. The toxic air is the leading cause of many illnesses, and it is not just limited to lung health. According to an analysis of the latest global burden of disease data, air pollution was responsible for nearly 15% of all deaths in Delhi in 2023, making it the city's single largest health risk. The analysis, based on data released by the Institute for Health Metrics and Evaluation, estimated that around 17,188 deaths in the national capital last year were linked to long-term exposure to particulate matter pollution. This means 1 in every 7 deaths in Delhi can be traced to the city's toxic air.
Chronic exposure over a period of time can lead to various complications. Especially when the PM2.5 particles and the 0.5 particles, which go directly into the lungs, they actually trigger off an inflammatory cascade, which can involve our entire body. So starting from diseases like asthma, chronic obstructive pulmonary diseases, interstitial lung diseases, hypersensitivity pneumonitis, lung cancer, in the adults, it goes to the heart, it can cause heart attacks, heart arrhythmias, the brain, it can result in strokes. And of course, this is the adults. In children, it can result in respiratory allergies, in frequent respiratory tract infections like tuberculosis, asthmas, impaired lung functions. In fact, pregnant ladies are also very prone to developing complications. They can have premature deliveries.
Among the most effective precautions is to limit outdoor movement, especially during early morning smog hours, but that is not a possibility all the time. So, are the masks and air purifiers really effective in protecting from air pollution? While the World Health Organization remains uncertain about how effective masks or air purifiers are against ultra-fine pollution particles because of the state of nanoparticles, experts maintain that they still provide some protection.
A particle size above 2.5 can be filtered by an N95 mask. Particle size less than 2.5, 95% of the particles can be filtered, but not less than that. So some bit of particulate matter would still go inside when you're using an N95 mask, and toxic gases cannot be stopped by that. As far as air purifiers are concerned, they can take care of the toxic gases as well as of the particulate matter. But then to be able to use them and get the most out of them, you need to have a completely sealed room. Every time the door opens or the window opens, there's an exchange of air. Automatically all the pollutants that are outside would come inside. So air filters can work, and they do reduce, including some of them can even reduce the bacteria and the viruses. But how is the impact on the health? Because we're still getting exposed to the poor air quality outside. So is it really impactful or not? We still don't know.
Over a decade ago, in 2015, Chinese capital's skies were no better than what New Delhi's skies are at present. In fact, 2 years before that, in 2013, Beijing's air pollution was referred to as an airpocalypse. Beijing, which was dubbed the smog capital of the world, used to see thousands of deaths every year owing to air pollution. So what did Beijing do to control air pollution? In 2013, Beijing launched a $100 billion multi-year strategy to clean its air. The pollution control program in China addressed this issue by phasing out old polluting vehicles, making cleaner fuels mandatory, and promoting non-motorized transport like bicycles. The results of all these efforts were remarkable. By 2017, Beijing's PM2.5 levels, the most dangerous fine particles, had dropped by 35% and blue sky days became common again. And by 2023, Beijing slashed its pollution levels by nearly 1/3. So, are there any lessons for Delhi to learn from this?
If you really look at the way China has dealt with it, so they were actually originally targeting Beijing to clean up, like we talk about Delhi, okay? But to be able to do that, their action was not confined only to Beijing. So they actually took that air-shared regional level approach where while they were cleaning up Beijing, along with that, about 26 provinces around Beijing were also targeted for similar stringent action. And what they have done, if you really look at the depth and the stringency of the action across all sectors.
Currently, Delhi-NCR continues to struggle for clean air. Doctors call the situation a slow-moving health emergency. Limiting outdoor activities or even suggesting that residents leave the city isn't a viable solution to this pressing issue. Many individuals have no choice but to step out and work in the smog. Even for those staying indoors, air pollution is that unwanted intruder that sneaks into our homes and affects our health quietly. Unless urgent steps are taken to curb pollution, the situation is likely to remain the same or could even worsen, surpassing the imagination of any dystopian fiction writer.